That's fucking minging, that.
I tell you what that is, fucking men against fucking boys all over the fucking park. They're fucking weak as piss, they are.
Hello everyone, welcome to the ROKER RAPPORT podcast in association with the Sun Community Soup Kitchen. You join us in the aftermath of Sunderland 1, MK Dons 2, and the script was written for the game really. Didn't work out. Connor Wickham comes on the pitch, scores the winner, and Dean's laughing. I'm joined by Dean. How you doing, mate?
A bit speechless right now, you know.
Yeah, and Malc. How you doing, mate? Are you better than Dean, or you're grinning? But I think it's just out of.
I know that my lovely mother-in-law will get me some lovely food tonight, and that's the only thing I'm looking forward to. Yeah. It's the only positive from today.
Well, yeah, we're laughing, but I think if you don't laugh, you'll cry. To be honest,
Jesus,
for Sunderland.
you're right.
Yeah, well, where do you start with that? Because when I came in here, I was sitting trying to gather my thoughts a little bit while I waited for you two to come in, and I was just, how do you explain that? Because at times we knocked it about okay. We looked neat when Roberts and Clark came on. Matete, I thought, had a canny game, but then ultimately it's not. It means nothing if you've had a canny game if you play a bad pass, which then leads to a deciding goal, and that's what happened today. There's something clearly wrong with this bunch of players, isn't there, Mal? And I can't put my finger on it.
So yeah, there's something clearly wrong with this bunch of players, but in my opinion, the middle of the park is non-existent. You know, everything we did was sideways, trying to use the wings. I don't understand what the point is of having Matete and Neil and Evans in the middle. If you have a three-man midfield with supposed width, why are we never going through the middle?
Do you know what I think it is? I actually think it's to try and cover the weakness that we have as a team because of Neil not being in form. Evans isn't playing well, but then you look around and you go, what else can we do? And he's tried. I think that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to sort of shore it up, because prior to Matete coming into the team, we were playing a middle two, and we were getting bypassed. And even with the three of them there today, we were. I'm loath to slag young players off, but I just think Dan Neil is. What do you do? He needs to do something with him.
He's got to be rested, hasn't he? Yeah. He's got to be rested. Let the lad. What is he? 19, 20. He's been thrusted into the limelight, and he's done well for the majority of the early part of the season. But he needs to give his brain a rest. You know, there's so much pressure on the kid, and most teams that are coming now are flooding the midfield. We did the same the other week. You know, flood the midfield, let them go out wide. Dejaku didn't do out wide early on. Serkin didn't really do out wide. Pritchard isn't a winger anyway, so he was never really going to work out.
Pritchard was better when we actually got him on the ball in the middle.
Yeah,
and he was trying. I mean, if we're looking for sort of any positive at all, he was all right. I thought Clark did well when he come on, but I mean, I feel like I should be really angry, Dean, and I'm not. I feel like I should be raging because
he is.
We've dropped well. We've dropped out the playoffs. We're not. I don't know. You think back,
now, aren't we?
You think back to that Chef Wed game. We were top of the league, flying. What was it, like 6 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And we're now out of the playoffs. And
we challenged for a second. You know, we challenged for a second at that point, and then out of nowhere, it just all goes downhill.
And I'm. Like I say, I feel like I should be raging, and I am. Yeah. I think as this stews on us tonight, I'll be more and more angry with it. I mean, where does the blame lie for that? Well, today, I know you said the middle of the pitch was non-existent, but the experienced players like Corey, he's meant to be the captain, and he was ranked today.
He's all I'd pull out the most. I'd pull him out the most. You know, if it felt like. If I was to be honest, I would have liked to have Trey on the right back and bring Winch.
Well, that's another thing, isn't it? Where was Trey Hume today? Why was he on the bench? Because a lot of people saw the team today.
Right back and stuff like that. I took Evans off, put Winch in midfield, put Trey on.
We're still as unbalanced as we were when Alex Neil pointed it out. When you think about it, you know, you're looking at Dennis Serkin today. He's like Dan Neil in a way. Like there's something not right there.
He's 19 as well, isn't he? Yeah. We're relying on Burns. That's the problem.
And we sold the only other senior left back we had and didn't replace him.
I mean, and we say a senior, what's Denver Hume, 23, 24? Yeah. It's a situation where we're suffering now from the actions of the overall recruitment team in January, in my opinion. You know, Evans might as well not have been on the pitch. any of us three could have done as good a job as him, because there was nothing through the middle. He's supposed to be there to be a pivot, to be a defensive shield and to be a pivot. He wasn't a defensive shield and he wasn't a pivot. He didn't offer anything. Matete was coming back to win the ball because he couldn't be arsed, you know. So I don't think Evans, A, deserves the captain's armband, and B, deserves to be in the first 11 because he's just not good enough.
There was a at half time, me and my mates, and we were stood talking about the game. I was like, you got to get Deano and Evans off. All we've heard about Alex Neil, I say it all, but one of the points we've heard about him is that if he can see something not working, he'll change it. And to his credit, 55 minutes in, he did. But I think it was too late because we conceded a goal. Then I think sort of a minute before Deano came off, he misses an absolute sitter. And I'm just thinking, you know, we've got to be ruthless. I know he's a young lad, but you saw the quality of the two guys who came on after that. The two wide players who had showed a bit of quality. I think he's going to have learned a big lesson today, Alex Neil, about this team because, well, we're now in a very dire situation. We're out of the playoffs.
See, I think the problem is, a couple of seasons ago when we had a lot of more experienced players who experienced in other leagues, is that now we're looking at all these young players. We don't have enough of those leadership players, and that we've got Corey Evans in there who just plays diabolically. I don't think we've got enough older, more experienced players in there.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's unbalanced, but then at the same time, you look to who was the worst player today. For me, he was probably a most experienced player in Corey Evans.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But I think overall, it's a team lacking severely in confidence, and you know, the best teams, they find a way to pull themselves back together, and I don't think the leadership's there at the minute. I mean, you could argue again, Tom Flanagan's just, you know, Tom Flanagan was sold, wasn't replaced, wasn't my favourite player. That's a lot of experience about the team. Yeah. And you're looking at it today, and you're looking around for some leadership, and Matete had a hand in their winner, but he was the only one at times trying to win the ball back, putting himself about, showing commitment and heart and desire. That's not shown enough for me at the minute. I think you can see, obviously, there's inexperienced lads there who just simply can't do that. And what do you do? I don't know what he should do now, Alex Neil.
So we've got to start again. We've got to start again pretty much from square one. We've got to find a way to play, because at the minute we've got no shape, we've got no confidence, we've got no go-to moves, we've got no swagger. You know, this is a massive club in this league, and there's no confidence to try and even take it. I mean, Dejaku, I was in the southwest corner and we were screaming at him to take somebody on.
Oh, how many times?
Every time.
How many times did he fuck around with
Exactly.
the ball?
He didn't take anyone
He cut
on.
back, he cut in, he cut back, he cut in, and then the cross he put in went out for a goal kick.
And then did you see Pritchard giving him a bollocking for that?
Exactly,
You
yeah.
see him just hit it early, and then you saw when Embleton comes on, early cross, back of the net.
High
And you're going,
header, back
how
of the net.
fucking
I think
difficult is
Dyke
that?
seemed very lazy. I mean, he didn't track back, he didn't make any kind of going in for anything. But also at the same time, on the attack, he didn't make any runs or anything like that. He'd rather take it to his feet and try to take someone on, which never actually panned out.
I just think as a team you've got to work that out. I know Pritchard's digging them out and get it in early, but just stop giving them the ball, play it down the other side. That was one of my big bugbears in that first half. Alex Pritchard barely touched the ball playing out on the left, and it was when he started to come inside for it that he got more action. But look, we're disjointed, we're low in confidence, and you can see it. And the problem is the games aren't getting any easier. I mean, Burton on Tuesday night, God knows what the crowd will be. I mean, I'm amazed that many people turned up today. They reckon the crowd was over 30,000 today. If it was, fucking fair play to people.
Like the concourse open, didn't they? So it must have been close to that.
Well,
look at that.
Right. Well, so you know, you've got to take your hats off. People are turning up. They're showing faith where they can. We've got Wigan next week, who it's going to be a horrible, tough game, and we're going to get battered if we play like we are at the minute. But we've sold out the away end, 5,000 people. But I mean, more immediately, Burton on Tuesday, proper bogey team, and I'm just looking at that today, and I'm thinking, how do we even beat Burton Albion?
Well,
and that's how much this season is.
That's how it's dropped, isn't it? Yeah, it's just dropped. I wrote something in the middle of the week about, you know, why do me and my lad keep coming back, you know, 200 miles each way, 3.5 hours. You know, I'm not saying that we're the most committed fans by any way, but you know, when we come, we have to make a long trip, It costs a lot of money, and we're watching that. You know, I don't know how we can turn it around, even against the most average of League One sides at the minute. After we lost to Doncaster, you know, we just can't buy a win. So the only little chink of light I can see in the horizon is we've got to hope that Alex uses these few games to understand how he's going to set us out, and then we can push into the playoffs and hopefully get the opportunity to rise in the form stakes as the playoffs start off. Because I mean, I can't see it happening at the minute, but if we don't at least burst into the playoffs with some confidence, we've already gone. You know.
I mean, it's you look at when they sacked Lee Johnson, and we were third in the table. You know, Johnson. I wasn't like him. I wouldn't say I was totally on board with sacking him. I wanted to see a plan for why we made that decision, and it's just becoming more and more obvious that it was we've made some terrible decisions. It might be come the end of the season we've won the playoffs and we get promoted and everyone's happy. But as I sit here right now, it feels like this whole month or 3 weeks or whatever it's been, from the moment we sacked Lee Johnson to the last day of the transfer window where we failed to get a centre half in, we didn't buy a left back, we're clearly lacking in the middle of the park, and we only signed Matete. You know, all these things. Yeah. And all of these things are all of these things are stacking up, and the culmination of that has been recent performances like today, where we just aren't good enough. We're not doing enough to win games. We're not good enough defensively. You know, MK Dons, all right, they were third before we were fourth before the game. I didn't think they were particularly good today. You know, but as soon as Connor Wickham came on the pitch, every single person that was sat next to me and around me in the ground went, you know what's going to happen now? Yeah. And it happened. You know what I mean? It's just, at the minute, I'm lost for words.
It's a bit of comedy, innit? It's a bit of comedy. I was looking at Twitter this morning, I can't remember who it was, and credit to you, young man, whoever it was, but somebody tweeted, 93rd minute, Connor Wickham scores a goal, 1-0. Yeah. You know, and that kind of happened because he scored the winning goal when we just went to friggin' sleep. I know there was some bad passes and some mixed up play in the middle of the field that created the opportunity, but time after time, people who we've said aren't good enough are coming back and biting us on the arse, and it's just not good enough.
It reminds me of Mikael Mandrom when he scored 2 against us and 1 against us.
Well, we've had that many of them. You know, Daryl Murphy when we were in the Championship, coming back to score. I mean, Lewis Graben, all these players have came back when Sunderland have been shit and come back to bite us on the arse.
We've said they're not good enough, but they come against us in other teams and absolutely bitch.
Yeah. So we have to try and find a way forward. I honestly don't know how. I think the only advantage at this stage, if you can even call it an advantage, is that Alex Neil's only just walked through the door. Yeah. So I can't blame him for today. I think he's tried to pick a team that would win the game by hook or by crook, and unfortunately we weren't good enough to do it. But he'll have learned a lot about those players. They've got to learn quickly because Tuesday now is massive. They've got to win. We're outside the playoffs. I mean, we keep failing to win games. We're going to drop, and then you're then talking about, well, the season's over. A lot of people already think the season is over.
Mediocrity, innit? That's what's risked.
And that's all been. I mean, let's just be frank here, right? Do you think that since Lee Johnson was sacked, do you want to think that we would have been this bad with him in charge?
Obviously, this is a theoretical question because you don't know. But yes, we got a humping 6-0 at Bolton, and the ownership of the club said that wasn't the only reason he got fired. But a couple of weeks before that, we beat Portsmouth 1-0, and there was a little glimmer of light. We were trying to get back on the horse and trying to get back, you know, winning games. And I honestly don't think we're any better off. And the pure disruption of changing head coach.
Yeah, it's not a slight on Alex Neil. Like, he might actually be a really good manager for Sunderland.
He's going to take time, isn't he?
It's the disruption.
Yeah.
And you can see in the players, like, they're all out of sorts. We could do with the season ending now and just going, right, let's start again in the summer.
Draw a line.
It's like, that's how bad it. And considering where we were when we were like top of the division, I can't believe I'm even saying that. But this is Sunderland and this is what we do, and we are the experts at fucking it up.
How many clubs would sack their manager when they're third in the league after a 6-0 beating? There's not really many.
Like I say, like your dad just said, there's obviously
the only reason.
yes, we can only take them on face value, and I just think we've done everything we possibly can to totally derail this season to the point now where we're actually worried about maybe even making the playoffs.
Well, you look at even the Burton match, they've just signed Niasse, who used to play for Everton.
So he's probably going to score against us on
Like,
Tuesday.
that's ridiculous. They've signed Niasse, who's had a pretty good scoring record at one point with them. And it's like, even against Burton.
Hang on, that's enough of that. Let's calm down. Let's calm down.
Yeah, let's stop talking. Anyways, yeah, we'll probably be back. We'll probably be back after Burton. I'm back tomorrow with Martin and Jeff Brown from BBC Look North, which should be nice. Talking about this shower of shit again. Cheers, Dean. Cheers, Malc. And thanks for listening, everyone. Cheers.